Hey, this is Kris with ROI Asset and Property Management, and today we're talking about property management, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So property management to most people is that person that you pay your rent check to for your apartment complex for those that are staying in an apartment or in a house. Property management to me is end to end. It's providing that excellent level of customer service to both the tenant and to the owner.
So, but go in depth about more, what is property management? Am I just writing you a check and then you're paying somebody else to do all the work?
Great question. So yeah, it's true. We collect money from tenants and we pay that money to landlords. But think of all the work that goes into one property. We'll call it one door, one single family house. You have a roof, 4 walls, carpet, paint, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We manage the vendors that take care of all of that. So if for some reason a hole gets put in the wall, we call the contractor to fix that hole. If the lawn needs mowed, we find the right vendor that's going to take care of that lawn in its entirety forever, whether that's mowing or whether that's spraying the weeds, weed eating, the flower beds if there's no flowers, spraying, etc. We want that property to look immaculate because it's a representation of the owner and it's a representation of the tenant. Same thing goes with an apartment complex, only to a grander scale. They take care of the property. They pay the power bill, so the power stays on, the water bill. Property managers take care of it end to end. And ROI, we actually have a couple of different tiers. And there's a basic tier where the owner wants us to collect rents and put tenants in there and they manage that piece. There's the a la carte tier where we manage it all. We'll even go and pay your property tax. We'll give you the P&Ls, hand you the T12, and allow you to take it to your accountant. And if you ask me to, I'll take it to your accountant as well.
So if I was to rent a property from Zach Bartlett or a property from ROI, what is the difference between the two? Why should I choose you?
Because it's me. Because my customer service ability stems from years experience working in IT and teaching technology-driven individuals to do customer service. Working in the service industry, being a server, bartender, delivering pizzas, etc. I'm going to treat you as an individual. I'm going to be humble, and we're going to get you taken care of. And so what that process looks like is I'll post, hey, I've got property Y up, and we'll get a hold of you and we'll have a conversation. And that conversation won't be, well, I want to charge you this exorbitant amount of money and all of these fees to get you into a property. I want to find out about you. And I want you to make sure both you're a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you when it comes to this property. And maybe you're not a good fit. Maybe we need to find you something else. So I'm going to go and find you something else through the various other individuals that I know that have rentals. So say we place you with the right location and we're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for us. We'll go through the application process, credit check, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we'll place you in that property and you'll have my contact information. You'll be able to contact ROI if there's a maintenance request. You'll be able to contact ROI if the neighbor's dog is barking too loudly. And we'll look to try and resolve those problems that you may have. On the flip side, we also want to get to know you even further. Next week, I'll be in Pocatello at an acquisition that we picked up earlier this year, and we'll be throwing a barbecue for the tenants that are there. And we'll be working with the property management company there to make sure the tenants know, hey, this is a thank you. We know we've been putting a lot of time and effort into this property, and occasionally the water's been off, or the parking lot's been closed, or you've been intruded upon by Idaho Power to put in LED lighting. We appreciate and thank you for spending that extra time to let us do that. And, we want to show you our appreciation by throwing a barbecue, getting to know you, and telling you what else we want to do to make that property and uplift that property. So from a property management perspective, it's being a human being to individuals, having a conversation with them, and growing with them, because ultimately that happy balance is where you want it to be.
So you believe in the hands-on concept?
Absolutely. To a point. So as a manager, I do not believe on hands-on. I believe in allowing your employees to go and do the right job. So with ROI, as we grow, I will be hiring the right people that are customer service driven. Because what I've seen in past life, I was in IT, I was hiring individuals with a customer service background and teaching them IT. versus finding someone with an IT background and trying to teach them customer service. It doesn't work. So you find someone with a customer service driven background and teach them property management, because they'll take care of your people. And when you hire right and you teach right, you know that employee is going to take care of it. So you don't have to micromanage. Anytime you have to micromanage an employee, you're not going to get the same results as if you can fire and forget and just have them go take care of it. Those are very, very valuable employees. And they'll take care of your tenants and directly take care of your owners as well.
Do you only manage apartment buildings and homes?
We manage, currently on my slate, we have single doors, single family homes. We have multifamily and storage units. We also offer services for HOA management. Basically, any type of property that you need someone to come in that can develop a process, schedule meetings, and get in contact with whoever your tenant base is, whether it's 250 single family doors with 250 property owners that are all inside of an HOA, and you need to organize the CC&Rs and help the HOA team manage that. Or it's, an owner of a house that wants his single family property to be managed, or an apartment complex of 30. Or you have a mix. You can have an apartment that's 12 long-term leases and 3 short-term leases, and you manage each differently. Obviously, short-term is more work because you're talking about a 1 month to 3 month contract, so the rates are different. But it really depends on the owner and how they want it managed. I've got one property where we have 2 short terms and 11 long terms in it. And it really kind of helps take care of some of the needs that the short-term renters have. And also, we love our tenants there, so it takes care of their needs as well.
How about commercial and industrial?
So my experience in commercial and industrial is small. However, I am in negotiations right now to potentially take over a restaurant and a coffee shop. And I do understand the concept of triple net. So, technically, yeah, I could do it. It's just not been something I've experienced yet. But what I can say is I wasn't doing real estate until 3 years ago. I wasn't doing apartments until a year ago. I wasn't doing property management at all. And I've learned to do all 3 of those in the same time frame. So my focus is, look, if I need to learn something, I'm going to go learn it, and I'm going to be the best at it because it's a pride thing. And I'm going to do it while taking care of the people that I'm working around, which is both the owner and the tenants.
So why pay you versus self-managing?
Well, because I'm a real estate investor and real estate is where my primary focus is, I've spent 3 years learning about how to do it better and how to do it right. Unless you're in real estate or you want to invest that time, let's have that conversation where we can talk about it for an hour and I can show you some of the value that I can bring to the table and you can focus on what you want to do. Because the reality is, yeah, you could manage it yourself, but I guarantee you with my vast amount of experience, I can manage it better. And yeah, you're right. I can, you have to pay me for that, and that usually comes as a percentage. But the reality is we look for mom and pop opportunities to buy those properties because they're usually not managed correctly. And that's where the value add is let me show you the value add in your property. And I can pretty much guarantee you, we can show you the value add. It won't come at a cost that you'll notice because we'll increase the revenue on that property through various methods, whether it's your rents are undervalued, whether it's new opportunities on that property where you can get value add, etc. But once again, how much is your time worth? Do you want to be managing properties, or do you want to be going to the lake with your kids, or making sure you can catch that baseball game, or focusing more on work because you want that promotion? Where's the value add? And believe it or not, you'll find once you let go of those properties and you let a professional manage those, you're happy with the decision because you have more time to do things you want to do.
So can you talk a little bit about the services and the tiers a little bit more in depth?
Yeah. So we have our very basic tier, and for small commercial and individual, it hits at about 6%. And that's to collect rent and do the P&Ls. And there are fees included in that. If we need to source tenants, if we need to advertise, if we need to go through the eviction processes, there are fees on those. Now, as we jump up into our higher tier, those fees get cut in half. Of course, the percentage does go up by 2%. And then our last tier, which is our a la carte tier, we manage everything end to end. In those tiers, in the basic tier, we'll manage the CapEx of that property. So if you want to do a big uplift on that property, we'll manage it for you. I have extensive amounts of project management experience, and we'll manage it at a 10% of what the CapEx is. So if you're spending $40,000 to uplift that property, you're going to pay us $4,000 to property management. In the next tier, it's 5%. And in the a la carte, we do that as part of owning that property. You don't just get property management. You get everything. We'll manage vendors. We'll pay bills. We'll pay your taxes. We'll take it to your accountant. We'll provide a full P&L and T12. We'll work with your vendors, or we'll provide our own vendors. It's really what you want. If you say, Kris, I don't want to touch this property. I just want my check every month. Cool. That's what we'll do. And of course, everything's negotiable on what you want out of that property. If you want the bare minimum, we'll give you the bare minimum. But most people want that a la carte experience because they don't have to touch it. They get that passive income and they know it's taken care of because I'm going to treat it like it's my own because it's an integrity thing.
Talk about the future of the property management side of ROI.
So property management and asset management, one is short-term. Property management is about working with tenants, collecting rents, etc. It's very, very short-term focus. Asset management is a very long-term focus. I envision in the future, their one role, you're going to bring a property manager in here that's going to be focused both on the short and the long term. It's like if you owned that building and had the experience of being that property manager, you're going to look at both. Well, with ROI and that a la carte service, you get both. I will sit down with you and talk to you about how we can make that property perform better. Whether that's, hey, we have this spare room that's used to be an office that we can turn into a studio, or we can turn it into a laundry service that both the tenants can use or maybe outside people can use it. Or we turn it into self-storage, or we have all this room on the back. What do we do with it? We talk about that property and see how we can add value add in there. In some instances, there are properties where it's single meter. It's one power meter, one water meter. And we look at the rents, and the rents are below market. So we'll do something like get the rents to market rate, and we'll add a RUBS system, a ratio utility billing system, so that you're getting money back to pay for those utilities that you wouldn't otherwise have expensed back. And yes, that does mean the tenant is paying more, but they're already getting the value of having their rent and their utilities all balled up into one, so it's easier for them to manage as well. Other stuff like adding internet services, cutting cable contracts. A lot of times cable companies will come in, you have 50, 100 doors, you can negotiate a contract to make them the exclusive provider via your management service, and the ownership eventually, they basically get a cut of that. Other items are paying attention to utility bills. If for some reason your utility bill spikes in April and goes back down in May, what caused that spike? So maybe it doesn't go down. Maybe there's a pipe leaking somewhere and you don't know what it is. We pay attention to the utility bills. We pay attention to what's going on with the properties, and we get vendors engaged to take care of those properties. Once again, that's the a la carte service. If you want something that's a little bit less hands-on, we have a whole tier of system that we can go through.
So how do people find out more about these services? And is there an application process for people who do own properties?
So if you're an owner, go to roiampm.com. My website has actually quite a few tidbits about real estate investing, property management, etc. Let's sit down and schedule an hour lunch and have a conversation about what your portfolio looks like. And let's see what we could do to help you manage. And that's entirely free. Let's sit down. We'll talk about your portfolio. We'll look at what your rents are and look at where they're located. I'll talk to you about what I've done with previous properties. Then if you're still interested, let's go and walk those properties. Let's take a look at where the value add is. I'll have conversations with you like, what's your mortgage look like? Is there room for you to refinance and pull some funds out to invest in other projects? What are the rents at? Do you want the rents increased, or do you really love your tenants? And it's really about what that owner wants. I have an individual I'm having a conversation with right now, and he says he's got a great tenant base, so he wants to keep them below market rent. I'm like, that's great. How else can I help your property perform? Let's have a conversation. And we went and we had a conversation. And there's opportunities where his mortgages are really low. He could refinance and pull some money out and invest that money somewhere else. So there's just lots of opportunities when it comes. It comes back to my podcast last week where I talked about creative ways of financing. If you have a property, even your personal home where you have some equity in it, take a HELOC out. Let's go invest it. Your returns are going to be far greater in that investment than they're going to be on that HELOC where the interest rate's 4, 5, 6%. Other ways of doing it is the knowledge share. Me sitting down and talking to you about that property, maybe you decide it's not right for you. You now have more knowledge to better manage your property than you did before. And once again, I don't mind sharing that information because it's about building rapport and building that integrity, because if you liked the information that I gave you, you're probably going to brag about it. So you're going to be talking about me, which is basically like free advertising.
Well, thank you so much. I didn't know there was so much that went into it. I thought I just wrote you a check.
Well, no problem at all. And thank you for having me. This is Kris with ROI Asset and Property Management.